Good evening. You've been joined for another version of the Prosperity and Health Alliance, the PH Alliance, Monday night webinars. Thank you for joining us. I'm here hosting tonight, Creel Hutchinson, joined by our fellow Kanganite, Siha Top. Siha, you want to say hello to the folks out there?
Hey everybody, it's so good to be back on the show. I've been out and about seeing you guys face to face and live, and now we get to see you guys over the webinar. I see all these friends that are on there from traveling out there, so I can't wait to get tonight's show going. Creel, it's so good to be back and seeing your friendly face, and I know our good buddies in the air over the Pacific somewhere, Wade Lightheart. And hello Kimberly in the background there.
Awesome. As always, we're joined by Kim, who kind of keeps the ship sailing in the right direction and all the audio and technical stuff, so we really appreciate her help. And we want to give her a big congratulations. She had a fantastic week, got 5 units sold and became a 4A in the business. So congratulations from everybody to you, Kim, on your great work. From there, we want to jump steam ahead, and we are entering into the final, really the final hallway of the year, and also of the automated training system. This week you will be receiving PHA 23 and PHA 24, the last 2 emails of the automated training system. So this is week 12 of 12. We also have the largest network marketing event on the planet happening in Las Vegas, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Wade is currently flying from Asia into Los Angeles to participate in that, and we've got lots of teammates who have already started the move or will be moving the next few days. So lots happening in the industry, lots happening at the PH Alliance and within the NAGIC. So we want to focus a little bit of this webinar reviewing where we're at with the training system and covering the last 2 emails that came out last week, which are real good ones. So before we jump into those particular emails, I'm just going to pull up my desktop so that you guys can have a peek. So over the course of the last 12 weeks, we've been receiving 2 emails a week registered as PHA 1 all the way through to PHA 24. And if you took our advice from week number 1, you've been collecting those emails and putting them into their own email folder. So over here on the side, I've got the 4A's PHA. So this is what you're looking at. So I've taken the automated training system, I put it into a separate folder so that I can use it as a reference anytime into the future. Now this is really handy because the very first email that we sent out, PHA 1, attached to it in an attachment was a table of contents. That table of contents allowed you to have all 24 and also the bullet points of the main things that were showing up in those emails. So in the future when you have a question or you've got someone in your downline that's got some questions and you want to provide them the right information, you can check the table of contents and find exactly which email it's in and then send that email. And if you've got it all saved in a template like this in its own folder, that's going to be really easy to do. So just imagine that tool as a part of the duplication mindset moving forward. 24 emails all in one place, table of contents. You've got literally, you can access all the information that any new person in your business or any old person in your business. So we want to use the system rather than having to individually send every single email. And I'll do a perfect example. I got an email tonight, and the email was coming from I forget who it was, it might have been from Marion, and she was requesting the link to the Dropbox folder which had the templates. She hadn't seen it in the training, so she was asking me specifically. I checked the table of contents, it was in PHA 5, I sent her that one. So real simple to use, and we're going to focus on PHA 20 in PHA 22 or PHA 21, which is Success Love Speed, and PHA 22, Solution to Life. So I'm going to hand it over to my good buddy, Siha Top, who probably the hardest working man in the business, but also definitely someone who's going to be all over our next topic because he's a man of all-out massive action. Siha, do you want to share your ideas on the 21st email that came out, which was Success Love Speeds, and just kind of give some value to that idea and share it with the team?
I will, and thank you so much, Creel, for putting that all together for us and just showing us really easy how we can organize it on the computer. For those of you who are kind of old-fashioned like myself, I went through and I printed them all out myself, and I put it into a notebook, and that way I can read it as well. So I have two forms. Creel easily showed you, you can just put it in your computer. I like to have both. I like to have the computer form as well as a printed form, so I can read it, I can highlight it, you know, handwrite things on there myself, make notes, and as you see in the emails, there are attachments, and sometimes in an email form like Creel was showing us, you can't really see the downloads or the attachments. So I printed out, like for each one of those ones, each one of the PHA letters that came with an attachment, I personally printed out all those attachments and put it together, and that just reminds me, you know, what was attached to that letter. So just some ways that you can organize that. So thank you very much, Creel, for showing that, his style, and then, you know, something that I do myself, and I wanted to share that with you folks as well. I thank you for all your feedback on, you know, how you guys are utilizing the PH Alliance tools here. I'm constantly in communication with our teams, and, you know, always trying to make things better for the system, to make it, you know, flow easier for you and for us. So please keep asking me the questions, keep, you know, utilizing the tools that are available so that we can all, you know, master this and easily share it and teach it and ultimately duplicate our business and grow faster. So with that said, I want to start with my topic, and that's 21, email number 21 that you guys will be receiving or should have received if you're doing it. And it's about, you know, success, love, speed. The topic is about Eric Worre's all-out massive 90-day action plan, you know, all-out massive action, AOMA, that we do. And Eric Worre talks about this, and he says, you know, we should do this 3 or 4 times a year, and at the very least do it one time, you know, seriously take a 90-day action plan and do it to its fullest. So for myself, what does that mean? That means, you know, when you print out, when you go to the letter for PHA 21, what's attached to it is the 90-day game plan. Talks about, you know, setting your goals with your teams, setting your goals for yourself. You know, where do you want to be in rank? Where does your teammates want to be in rank? You know, the amount of money that you want to make. Again, this is goal setting, the amount of money that your team wants to make. Is it prestige that you want? Is it recruiting, you know, is it recruiting numbers that you need to have? So that's the first step in the 90-day all-out massive action, is first to have a vision, to have a goal, and write those down. And then it's the pre-launch, you know, the pre-launching of the all-out massive action. You can't just throw a party. You have to, you know, get people ready and get people warmed up and get the news out there. So that's called the pre-launch. So promoting in advance. You know, for myself, our teams, what I try to do is I try to, you know, make phone calls, I text people out, I email our teams and let them know that, hey, I plan on doing an all-out massive action coming up here in January, February, and March. So what time frames are you available? And I'll know where I'm going to be, like for January, in the state of Washington and Oregon. So I'll go to my leaders there and say, for January, here's where I'm committed to. And then February, I'll be in California, San Diego, you know, Arizona, further down south, and Mexico. So so what I do is I like to have a game plan of where I want to be in each month, and then I want to get together with those leaders in those areas, and I want to pre-launch and start getting them to help promote for those times and those dates. What I'm looking for when I'm talking to our leaders, and you guys know this if you've been working with me, is that, okay, so we've got a date penciled in, and now it's up to the leaders in the local areas to start, finding a venue for us, making the posters for us, and putting the word out there so that, they're promoting, they're edifying the speaker. In this case would be myself coming to the area, or whoever it is that's coming to the area for your, to do your shows there. Then we goes into the launch. What we want to do there is the big events. You want to have big events. What are big events? Big events are anything over 25 people, 50 people, 100 people, 300 people. You want to those take a little bit more time in planning, and you need a whole leadership team, in a sense, 2 or 3 leaders in the area to help you coordinate and organize. We just got done doing a very successful show in Hawaii, and there again, we just had a whole bunch of leaders come together, including myself. We all did our part, from organizing the keynote speakers to finding the venue to, booking the dates and booking the entertainment, the photography and all that. So there's a flow to that you want to do. Flyers. When I'm going into a location, the first things I try to teach our teams or get our teams to do is to learn how to make flyers for these events, because that's how you get the word out there. As soon as you get a flyer made, then we can all text them out, or we can all email them out. That's the most efficient, easiest way to do it. But somebody's got to make the flyer. And in my case, I used to make the flyers, like when myself and Wade used to go out there and do our shows. I made all the flyers for Wade. Nowadays, I have our teams make the flyers for myself, because they have to learn. We're trying to teach the team to build and to grow. So I've taught them how to make flyers, and that's what they should do, is make flyers and post that on Facebook, social medias, send them out to their teams, and likewise send it to myself so that I can put it in into an email form and get it out to the rest of the team. So, it's a really exciting time of the year to come together right now and to build for going into the end of the year really strong with your events, and then starting the new year out even stronger. So your 90-day all-out massive action should be starting like right now. If it's to start in January. I personally like starting the beginning of the year. January, February, March are my most favorite times of year to do an all-out massive action. January, it's the beginning of the year, New Year's resolution, friends and family, folks, clients. Everybody wants to start the new year better off than they did the last year, or start the new year out right, lose weight, look better, feel better, make more money, pay off debt, whatever the vision, whatever the dream is. Starting the new year right is really important. So I like starting the new year out just all out massive action with our teams and getting in front of as many people as possible and doing these shows. Well, I lost my train of thought there for a second, because I think, for me, I think it's pretty simple to put this together when you have a group of leaders that want the same things that you do. So you need to get together with your leaders and make sure that you're all on the same page, that you want to end the year strong, and how are you going to end the year strong, and then you want to start the year strong with your 90-day all-out massive action. And in PHA letter number 21, it lays it all out there very easily. There's a video attachment to Eric Worre that'll explain it in full detail on how you do the all-out massive action 90 days, and then there's a printout on how to put it together. Folks, I don't have much to say about this more, because it's all right there in our PHA letters, and I just want to invite you to, to lock arms and get together and let's just wrap this year up strong and start the year up even stronger. So I'll roll it back to Creel here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Siha. I was going to add in on that, the success loves speeds. It's kind of a mindset too. You were talking about the practices and the structure and how to create it all to be. But, I think first and foremost, it starts with a new person getting into this business, and us being the sponsor or bringing the person is, we can, from day one, let the person know that success in this business can actually happen quite quickly. and we're talking within 90 days, that realistically, most people are going to take a longer time to get to 6A, 6A2 and above, but there's a group of people who do it very, very fast. So what is the difference between those two groups of people? Well, I think a part of it has to do with the mentality of the group and the sponsorship that's initiating that new person in. And things can happen very quickly. And if people take massive action in 90 days and attempt to recruit 20 people out of 30, which is one of the videos that we've got in the PHA 21, there is a lot of great information there that to really set the foundation and set the spear of the leadership being like, with brand new people, being like 90 days, let's do this. You can do the 90-day training system with the PHA. You can go for all-out massive action during that time, and literally you can transform your life 3 months from now. And if people have that really clear and make a decision and lock arms, then the reality is something big is going to happen. I think what most people do is we go very slowly into this business and kind of feel it out, lukewarm and so forth, which is fine. That's a natural way for many people to be. But for a group of people that want to move faster, the success loves speed principle, when you start quickly, what ends up happening is you duplicate other people starting faster in your business. And I think the all-out massive action encourages people who get recruited during that time to turn around and do the same thing. So realize the way you did it may not be the way that somebody else is going to do it in your business, and to coach people to, hey, let's do this faster. We've already learned the mistakes along the way. We know what works, what doesn't work. So let's hit the ground running and really lock arms for 90 days and make this happen. So Sihak, thanks for reviewing that. I'm going to cover the next one, which is the Solution to Life by Joko. If you've ever had a chance to be with Joko, he was in Hawaii with us at the last event. Great guy and incredible story. Basically, he launched Indonesia and got it flying, and he basically got all his friends who had no money doing this business, and 3-4 years later, they've got, Indonesia sells about 1,400 units a month. They've got incredible businesses. They've become millionaires. And what was the solution to life? Well, they weren't talking a lot about the water. They were talking about this concept of plan A and plan B. Most people are working the plan A in their life. The plan A, go to school, get a good job. Get into the workforce at age 25, and then you're earning, we'll say, $3,000 a month. At 35, maybe you're earning $4,000 a month. At 45, you get another raise. Now you're earning, $6,000 a month. Another 10 years go by, you're 55. Now the company's paying you, $7,500 a month. Then you get to 65, they give you a nice retirement, and you've earned $8,000 a month. Now you're retired, and your expenses of your lifestyle are at their highest position, but your earning potential has totally dropped off because you're no longer working. So you've been working all this way through your life, trading hours for dollars, to get to this point where all of a sudden you retire and there's no money coming in. This is the reality of what most people are working in, whether it's being employed or self-employed, which basically means owning your own job, trading hours for dollars. The potential of creating a satisfying, freedom-full lifestyle is very limited. The solution to life, and what really turned me on to network marketing 10 years ago, was the idea of creating leverage through a system of success. Leverage being, I really love this definition, I would prefer to have 1% efforts of 100 people than 100% efforts of myself. 100 people giving a little bit of their energy can do so much in the world versus 100% of myself. The impact of being involved in a business like Enagic and in network marketing is allowing us to leverage the efforts of many people, creating our own independent sales team. Notice the word independent. We are looking for people who want to do this business for themselves, but with a team. And so Joko showed people this is the plan B. You can only work so many hours in a week by yourself, but You get a group of people together working the exact same amount of hours inside your business, and the numbers of income producing hours that you've been able to achieve in 1 week, a month, a year is astronomically different. So the only way to get freedom and dreams happening in our life is to get more of our life back into our hands, which means those working hours that the traditional employee have, we want to take those back so we're not working as much, but we're getting paid more for every hour of the week. And let me just throw out a couple ideas here. And by the way, I love this little book. It's the True Health book. This was put out by a group, Matt Clemmer and his crew. That's who we put on the video. So Matt Clemmer does his version of the Solution to Life by Joko. We would have chosen Joko, but we realized most of our team doesn't speak Indonesian. So thank you, Matt, for doing that and sharing it forward. And the idea is, imagine this. Here's you. You're working 8 hours a day, 30 days in a month. The maximum you can get paid on is 240 hours. You get involved in the Kangen Water business. You start working with the PHA Alliance. You start doing the training system, and you start to build it forward. Like Kim, you start to get to that 4A position. Eventually, you get about 100 people in your business, right? They're all putting 8 hours into your business. They do this for 30 days a week. And now you've got 24,000 hours versus 240 hours, right? Even if you had 10 people in your business, you're up to 2,240 hours versus 240. Any way you look at it, getting involved in a system that gives you leverage is by far our best chance to get ahead. Now, that concept turned me into a naysayer and no, I'll never do MLM 10 years ago into getting involved with my first multi-level marketing business. What I've learned through the industry allowed me to find my way into a magic, which was a much better fit for me, and I think a great, a business, however you look at it. We provide a global system that allows people to have leverage, right? This is the solution to life. What do people really want? What did I really want? I want more freedom. I want to be able to do the things I want, when I want, with whoever I want, how I want. And I realize that getting a job is not the way to do that. Having a system, having duplication, that's why we really emphasize, our training system here. We want people to be easily supported, duplicated, the training's all there, so that you can be putting people into your business at all levels with ease and making sure that you're setting them up to have the best success possible moving forward. So is the solution to life? Leverage to get your freedom back. With Kangen Water, you've got also the solution to health and the solution to life, which is a great international business that allows us, the PHA Alliance, to support you, but also allows you to make this massive impact in people's health care, also for the environment, and also in people's lifestyles through their economics. So I think it's just really a win-win situation. I highly recommend you to check out the Clemmer's video, Solution to Life. Send it to other people. The more people we can educate about the opportunity of network marketing and the leveraging potential, so to really show someone that, hey, what you're doing isn't going to work. No matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you pray or try, its limitations are already built into that system. The only way to get ahead is to have a business system that you own, whether it's ours or something else. If you can educate people on that, which is what the Indonesian market has done. They don't educate on the water, the ORP, the molecular hydrogen, all of that stuff. They educate on plan A or plan B. Work your whole life and barely survive, get a business, lock arms with us, and create freedom in a few years. That's what we also have the potential to teach people. So for people that are feeling maybe a little challenged in presenting the business, talking about financial literacy, which is really what Joko and his team did. They had a course in financial literacy, educating people on how money works and how they were getting paid and how they were in the wrong area. If we could do the same, we can really open people up to the potential of checking out our business opportunity. I find most people are closed to not knowing what network marketing is or direct selling. So if we can show them what's in it for them, hey, you can get your freedom back. You could earn while you learn the system. I think they'd be more willing to take a little deeper, spend more time really assessing what our business has to offer. So that's PHA 22. Since we're moving towards the end of our training system and our next webinar is not going to be for 2 weeks, this week everybody's going to get PHA 23, which will be the 4-step process of building accountability into your business. This is an Eric Worre accountability video. It's excellent. It's just really some easy pointing stuff. It kind of makes sense with, you know, the biggest event happening starting Thursday, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in December with Eric Worre. So we're a big fan, as we all know. So that's going to be PHA 23. Look for that in the next 24 or 48 hours. And then you're going to receive the final checklist, PHA 24, checklist number 4 on your business towards the end of the week. And that will conclude our entire 2.0 version of the training system. I recommend you guys grab each one of them, put them in a separate folder so you have access to that for yourself and also your team. Print out a version of the table of contents, very helpful. If you haven't been collecting them as they've moved along, very simple. What I did was with a friend of mine in Hawaii. She hadn't done the same, but she wanted to organize herself. Just put into the search engine, PHA 1, find it, PHA 2, PHA 3. Go one by one. It will take you 20 minutes, and then it's all done for the future. That's leverage once again. Do it once so you don't have to do it over and over and over again. So I'm going to invite Siha back in because I know you've got probably some golden nuggets to add in regarding Joko and the Solution to Life video and what that kind of mindset has also meant within your business and your leaders, if you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I met Joko 2 years ago. You and I did. We were in Hawaii at the Super Saturday event there. And what impressed me about him was that, you know, he was humble, he was gracious, he was self-taught in this business where in Indonesia he said there's nothing in Indonesian DVDs or brochures or anything like that. He just shared the technology of the water and what it had done for his mother, I believe it was. And when people asked him, why your mom looks so healthy? She's out and about, she's walking the neighborhood, and this and that. How's she doing it? And he just says, we're drinking this crazy water, that this machine from Japan makes on our counter. Come on over, we'll show you. And so that's what he just said, it's in the water. Come on, the water that my mom's drinking. So the community got around, that, and then the background that he was from. His income, his median income was $250 per month as a dishwasher, right? He was working in the restaurant. Per month, that's what he was making, $250 per month. So he had, in his world, he had a product that worked. He wasn't making a lot of money, but there was no stops in his mind. And that's what I love about, entrepreneurship is like, if you have a dream like Joko did and his teammates that he brought to Hawaii this last trip that we were over there, they were all in their own lifestyle, hurting. One gentleman lost his wife and he was going through a bankruptcy, because he was broke. This was only like, a couple of years ago, and he's now a 682 and above. Other ones was another 27, 29-year-old gentleman who, young man, in my opinion, a young man, was an entrepreneur, was an investor, real estate investor, and they, like you said, they weren't really talking about the water as in the technology and how it's made, the microclustering and the ORP and this and that. They're talking about the lifestyle. Where are we at today, or in their case, where are we at today, and where do we want to be, tomorrow, where we want to be next year. And they said, how they were recruiting, they just went and said, look, this is going to be $1 million project. Are you in? This is $1 million project. This is $1 million business. Are you in? And then they said, that got attention. So then when they said, are you in, whoever their prospects was, they sat down and they mapped it out for them. They showed them the commission, the 8-point system. And then from the 8-point system, they just played, if they carried it further, which they did, right after they showed the 8-point system, wrote it down, then they showed a video of, Danny DiMacaulay or whoever of choice was for the water technology, and that really set the ball rolling for them. So I got to know them really well, and all their stories were so unique and so interesting in the fact that, they didn't know everything that we think we have to know to make, a good living out of this, 6 figures or, or above. So that's Jericho and his team, and they're continuing to do it around the country. If you follow them on Facebook, they've locked arms. And that's what I love about, their organization like ours. We've all locked arms, and you can see it. You can see that everybody's on the same path to success. Everybody's on the same path, to a better future. Because, what they're living today is not working for them. And I believe we can all do that for ourselves. That's my 2 cents on Joico and his team there.
Yeah, I totally... seeing those guys and meeting them again and this Hawaii trip, I love what Joko said. He was the first year they kind of promoted the product, and then he realized the solution to life was a more powerful mission, and as it was a more impactful. So after about 10 months, they kind of switched over and really started to lean into the solution to life, and they just found the business absolutely exploded, because what people were really needing was a financial solution so that they could solve the health solution. And I think sometimes we get comfortable in wanting to promote the health solution first, and hoping that they're going to figure it out, that there's a financial solution involved with it. But for them to really clearly see that, hey, the best way we can help people is show them the solution to life, which is to earn more income, and then all these other things are going to fall into place as a result of that. So super powerful.
Yeah, he said something that was really funny, and that the whole audience got, and it was a tip. It was like the $1 million tip. And do you remember when he said, I'm a cheater. I cheat. How I got here is I cheated to get here. And what he meant by that is that, he didn't reinvent anything. He just copied. He just copied what some of the best, entrepreneurs are doing out there. He just copied, what made the last sale, who made the last sale. So he said cheating, and I believe that's what it is. You don't have to know it all. You can cheat your way up there, just by copying somebody. That's not cheating in my opinion, but that's what he called to get people's attention. But that's the word that he used. And did you remember him saying that?
I did, and I think we, a bunch of the leaders kind of jumped on top of that, being like, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. That's why we've got even the training system here, so that people, don't have to go out and give new topics or new classes. Just plug people into what already working, and extract yourself out of the equation as quickly as possible. So they just coached something really simple, as we are too, to create that duplication, and it's a powerful, powerful statement. Yes.
I see a lot of our teammates and friends that I've been talking to in the last few weeks and that are online. So I welcome you all. But I want you guys to start thinking about questions. While you're thinking about questions, I'd like to answer a couple questions or share with you a couple of feedback that I've received from the teams and Magic family out there. I see Sean is on there. Hey, buddy, from Sean Wetzel, and Sean's like, he's a 6A. He's done over 300 machines, and he's like, see how I don't know what the next step is. Is anybody in that position? He says, I don't know what the step is. I don't know how to build a team. I've made all my sales. I don't know how to inspire other people. And that's what I love hearing. I love hearing feedback. And here's Sean, working his tail off and wants to do better. And I shared with him the Prosperity and Health Alliance while I was on the phone. I texted him, prosperityandhealthalliance.com. As soon as I got off, I said, before we got off, I said, have a look at this. This is a system that we put together. Creel, myself, Wade, we, as leaders, we took out all the fat. We put a system together that whether your first day in or 8 years in, it doesn't matter. You'll find this useful and valuable to duplicate your teams, to grow your teams. And please give us comments on what we can do better if there is something better. So Sean took a look at it, and he was just so excited about what it was all about. He says, I am going to email this to everybody on our team. That's just like the most beautiful thing, to get that, that feedback from somebody who's been in the business, who doesn't really have a system going on for his team. And we can help. We're helping everybody in the Magic family. We're giving this back. And so I wanted to share that with you guys, because it's not just you alone that you think that you don't know what the next step is, but this is this is a guide. This is a tool. Utilize it. Did you want to add anything there, Creel? I see you.
I think that's great. I want to encourage people to pop in some questions into the question box window right now. I'll kind of pull up a few things. We want to say hello. We got a lot of people on the line tonight, which is really great. Thank you guys for making the time and effort to support your own business and support our efforts here at the PHA.
While you're looking at that, also, we're talking about the 90-day all-out massive action earlier. Well, my good friend Ann Gross from Texas, who's on the line with us today, there again, we started, this all-out massive action. She started this 2 months ago. Two months ago, before I went out there a few weeks ago to help build a team. When I went out there, she had me booked 4 or 5 days straight. We had, from house to home to venues to event. She just packed the house for us. She put leaders together that were already interested in the product, but weren't sure about doing the business. Now they're doing the business. There again, that was part of the promotional part. I don't know anybody in Texas. In Houston, Texas, to be specific. Ann did. She's the leader there. She wants to build a business. So how we can help you better, or your upline can help you better, is you need to, put the venues together. You need to put these events together. You need to do the inviting, so that when your upline or your mentors, your leaders come in the area, we can do the best that we can for you. So I want to say thank you, Ann, for for doing all that and moving. And now she's got momentum. She's got a real team. She calls me so excited because she has teams now. She's like, see how I have team. She's listing them off, and she's doing the follow-ups and the follow-through. There again, that goes along with what we're talking about tonight. Our all-out massive action, and a system to put together a system that's easily duplicatable, that everybody does. So I wanted to share that one as well.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to jump in. Fire any questions in, you guys, that you have out there. There was one question that came up from Taro, and he says, they say perception determines reality. If a person is skeptical, perceives and complains Enagic as too much of a payout on commission, or too much on commission, such a ripoff, without trying the water, the other group treats Enagic as a life-changing opportunity. If it happened to be in a mall, the price would be 5 times as much. As Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. If you're thinking, it's what you're thinking that makes it so. How do you deal with the first type of people without judgment when it comes to persuasion? Do I leave them alone until they change their mind? And then thank you to the PHA for these webinars. So I think the question really comes down to, how do you handle the objection from a person being like, there's too much being paid out in commission and it becomes a ripoff? How I handle that is, people are getting those ideas from going online and having Google and different competitor websites plant those seeds. Right, so I realized, okay, that's where it's coming from, so I have to address that, and I say, hey, I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way when I got introduced to this, that I went online and saw all these different water ionizers suggesting that I was getting ripped off by my friends who were introducing this to me, and that I could find the exact same thing for something else. So what I found out was that that's actually not true. And I looked at some information that was really helpful. Would you be interested in looking at some information that might be really helpful, so that you can understand how the pricing of these systems is actually pretty fair? So notice, I don't say you're wrong and try to be right. I just say, hey, I totally agree with you. I felt the same way. Do you want to learn more about this? Right? And a person is either going to, well, anyone who buys a system from us is someone who wants to keep learning about what we have. People who don't buy from us end up dropping out of the learning opportunity. So if you're inviting and they don't want to go along, they don't really want this. They're not ready for it. There's too much happening. But if they're open, say, yeah, sure, I'll take a look at it. They can still have the objection, which is fine. And then you can send them some information on the competition and also the price margin. So when people see that, hey, what our system really is and the value of it, and all products have markups. We are doing kind of the global markup. It's 25% goes into the manufacturing, and then we have 75% that goes out for profit for the company and the commissions, which is pretty standard with all these other things. So there's not really a difference in that, but the main objection to overcome is we need to create more value in our product. And that's where I invite people to like, hey, I totally agree with where you're coming from. I felt the same thing. You want to take a look at some information and us to continue to talk about it. That's how I handle that objection. And if they're ready to move forward, great. If not, then I'm like, hey, great, no problem. You're probably going to keep hearing about Enagic because we're the best. And so at any time in the future you want to get more information, just let me know. That's how I leave the door open as well. See how you want to put anything on that?
I do, and that's great. Creel did the classic feel, felt, and found. I love that. I always do that as well. And you know what? For myself, they say stories sell, facts tell. I tell my story, or I share a story that where this machine, this $4,000, was priceless. My personal story, as a lot of you guys know, I had acid reflux for 7 years, severely, came to where I was coughing, and then this water seemed to help me. It did, and I haven't coughed since. So. For me, I put a value on how much money was I spending on medication, how much time, how much money was I here in the U.S., how much time was I spending, with at doctor's offices with, the deductible, with the insurance, and lost time from work, and lost time from family, and the pain. And if I didn't get introduced to this technology when I did, it may be up to that. I've had it for 7 years. Maybe I have it for another 7 years, or for my doctors, my specialist that I went to said I needed to take prescription drugs for the rest of my life. I would have to be dealing with what's the cost of that. So I try to bring a value, a cost that, man, you think 4,000 is cheap? I think it's, it's expensive. I think it's cheap because I don't have to do any of that anymore. Or, I share a story of my friend who, Jerry, who was on 19 prescription drugs, and he had severe diabetes, and his veins was going to explode, and his foot, and one of the veins was going to burst, and so they were going to have to amputate it. And you know what? He tried the water. Why not? What did he have to lose? A foot? So he tried the water, and lo and behold, he's off of all 19 prescription drugs. Now again, the water didn't fix us. We all know that. But it helped the body do what it needed to do. Jerry still has his foot. What's the cost of that? Is $4,000 expensive to keep your foot or whatever? Because you bought the SD501 then. So I like sharing stories, success stories, and I say, yep, here, I got their phone number. You want to talk to them? Or you find out, sometimes people are just looking for an excuse to not buy, or to tell you no, but in a nice way, or maybe, or a roundabout way, that it's too expensive and the markup is this and that. You know what? Or this is a scam, and we've all heard that. For myself, I say, you know what? We want to work with companies that are transparent, correct? I don't know of any company that is more transparent when it comes to markup and commissions as this company. Because I was in finance, in real estate mortgages. You didn't know how much. When you bought your house, you don't know what the true cost, or the true profit that the realtor made or the bank made. You won't know. When you bought where you buy your glasses, where you buy your food, you don't know. In this industry, or in this company with Enagic, you can go online right now, push in commission, and you'll see what I'm getting paid. You'll see what everybody is getting paid. That is transparency at its best. So if you think this is a scam, it's a 42-year-old scam that is working, and everybody knows what the commissions are. So I disagree.
Mhm.
So
Great point, Siha. You know, it reminded me when you were talking there, a friend of mine in this business, how he handles this question is, it's only a ripoff if it doesn't work.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
It's only overpriced if it doesn't work. It's only a scam if it doesn't work, and this works. So
Absolutely.
there's still the doubt in the person's
love that.
mind that there's not value, that it doesn't work, that it's a scam. But if it does, everything that it does, it's worth it. And I think we all know that because we're in it. But you know, I know sometimes, depending on your relationship, you know, you can handle something like that by just saying, hey, you know what? It's a scam if it doesn't work. This works. And I totally get your point. Everything's expensive when there's not value to it, but this works. So, you know, another way to handle it. There's a couple more questions here. Sean, you're asking if these are recorded. Yes, you can go to the prosperityandhealthalliance.com. That's our main website. That's where people can register for the automated trainings. Also on there, there's going to be a Facebook tab and there's going to be a YouTube tab. You can click on the YouTube tab. It will take you directly to our website where all of our webinars are posted there for viewing in the future. And if you've signed up for the webinar, which you probably did to get on here, we usually send that out, reminders, and if you're part of the PH Alliance, you'll get the email. Wade usually sends out the recording of this in a couple of days. So there's different places you can check it out. Taro, you're welcome. John, great to have you guys on. And he was suggesting that they're finding many great leads at coffee roasters, etc. This has been helpful for them understanding a little bit more, so we're happy to hear that. Okay, you guys, it's your last minute to throw in any questions or any comments. I know Kimberly had something she wanted to add into the conversation. Kim, you got something to share for the team?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to reiterate a little bit about, you know, my experience with you guys. Listening to you guys each and every week has really brought a lot of value to me for what I do working with you all. If I wasn't forced to sit and listen and do these things, I might not have followed through on some of them. So really watching and listening to what you do has blown up my business. I want to say that, and I want to say thank you for that. You guys are great leaders, and because of that, I'm becoming a great leader. And that's really huge for me. So I'm super excited about that. Just hitting a 4A. I also have built a team underneath me. My team underneath me is also about ready to hit a 4A. Yeehaw.
Wow.
Yay! So,
Nice.
but I learned that from you guys and listening to the call. So I want to thank you for that. The other thing I wanted to say is that I listened to other calls from other people in the Enagic family, like Eli and Juliana. Is it Juliana DeFesh?
Gillian?
Yep. And Bob Gradelli was on there one time. And Bob Gradelli got on and he talked about, I went out and I drove water and I took water and I made people drink water and I did trials and I did demos. And I listened to that call, and at the end of that call, I was like, I can do that. And so I went out and did that, and the result is what's happening today. So I think that listening to you guys, kudos, listening to other people, kudos, getting out, doing demos, getting out, making presentations, and then just asking for the business. I mean, it's just amazing what's happening, and I just want to thank you guys for everything that you're doing, because I'm going to be a 6A 2-8, so back the bus up.
Yes. Kim, thanks so much for putting up with the three of us week after week, and also keeping us in line and getting us on the calls and all that stuff. So we really appreciate your nurturing in the back end, and it's been a pleasure to work with you. So I'm really happy you're getting great success, and I can only imagine what 2017 will be for you.
Thank you.
And I also know the rest of the team. We've had a really great year. We started this project, the PH Alliance, a year ago, and so it's been really awesome to see what's transformed in the team that this past year. You know, Wade getting to 6A-3, Siha getting to -3, I got to a new rank -2. there's so many, it's like on and on. We could just keep going through the list. It's like a celebratory. But when you see kind of your leaders break these new ranks, what that means is things are working. And what that means is that there's 1As, there's 2As, there's 3As, there's 4As, there's 5As, there's 6As that are moving through the ranks. And so I'm feeling really optimistic and excited about what we've accomplished this year. And also as we move into, I want to recommend, if you're not going to be in Las Vegas for the Eric Worre GoPro event live, do think about getting it on the streaming ticket. There's still a discount, I think, for another 24 hours, so that you can host a little event in your local area for you and your team, or cross team, or just have a little event. You've got the access to the recording for 2 weeks, some great value there. And that will really take us into the holiday season on a high note, and so that we can enjoy it, have some really good fun with our families and friends, and then 2017 launch it again. So before I pass it over to Siha for some final words, I want to thank you guys all for being on the call tonight. Look forward to hearing some feedback on how the GoPro event happened. It's going to be 2 weeks. Next week is going to be the Danny D Kungan One webinar, so we're not going to be on, but we're going to do our last webinar of the year 2 weeks from now. And then we're going to take a break over the holiday season. So we'll see you back in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kim. I'm going to hand it over to Siha Top for his closing comments.
Thank you so much. I got the best people in the world that I'm working with by choice, and that's what we said with this Magic Project. Creel and Kimberly, you guys are the best. And without our teams that are out there, you guys that are out there on this call, from the 1As all the way to 6As, we wouldn't be here. On these calls, I'm seeing some brand new folks here, John and Jamie. You guys, you inspire me, because you're coming from a world where you want change, and everywhere I go, that's what I'm seeing. People want change. Going back to Joyko, that's what he's teaching people how to do, is change. There's something better out there for all of us. That's what Eric Worre is teaching us. He cloned it. This is a better way. And we are proving it daily that this truly is a better way. And I'm so glad that you guys are with us on this project. And 2016 was a banner year. We absolutely have no doubt that 2017 is just going to go ballistic. The company is trying to keep up. I kid you not. Our company is trying to keep up with the volume of the business that we're doing all around the world. This is I don't know if this is a good sign or a bad sign, but when you call the office, it's not like the old days where we used to get somebody. Now it goes into voicemail because they're so busy processing orders and taking care of people walking through the office, for customer service that way. But those are growing pains that we are happy to have, and we'll get through those just like everything else. So again, a huge thank you, a world of gratitude to you all, and I can't wait to start 2017. End this year strong and start next year even stronger. So love you guys. We'll see you in 2 more weeks. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Good night, everybody.